I took care of a man who had been dead for years. I used to work night shifts at a memory care facility a few years back. It was a pretty low-key job. Med checks, routine rounds, gently calming confused residents. Most of the folks there had some form of dementia, so you get used to people saying odd things. But there was one resident, Mr. L, who never really felt like the others. He was quiet, polite, never caused trouble, maybe in his early 70s. His memory was a little spotty, sure, but he could hold a conversation. There were a couple of strange things about him. For one, he always talked about staying. He'd say stuff like, "I can't leave yet," or "I need to fix things before I go." I thought he meant the facility. Maybe he was afraid of being transferred somewhere else, or maybe it was just the dementia. But Mr. L was odd in other ways too. He seemed to know things about people no one else did. Details about their lives, things they hadn't told anyone. It was unsettling sometimes, because how did he know these things? Another weird thing. He never had visitors, not once. No phone calls, no cards, nothing. And yet all his bills, medication, extended care, everything, were always paid on time, in full, sometimes in advance. Not by insurance either. Someone was wiring the payments directly in his name. The admin staff joked he was secretly rich. One nurse even checked his file once and saw he listed, "No next of kin, no emergency contact, just a blank space." I worked with him for almost 8 months. He was never aggressive, never declined. If anything, he seemed like he was waiting for something. I never really questioned it. You see a lot of strange things in memory care, and eventually you stop trying to make sense of all of them. Then one day, he just wasn't there. His bed was empty when I got in for my shift. They said he had passed peacefully during the day, quietly in his sleep. We did what we always do, cleaned the room, boxed up personal items, and sent his file to admin so they could contact next of kin. A few days later, I was called in, being one of the nurses who attended to him, to speak with one of the directors. The people in the room looked shaken, some even pale. Apparently, when they finally tracked down who they thought were Mr. L's relatives, they were horrified. Not just upset, horrified. They said Mr. L, the real Robert Langston, had died 5 years earlier, in another town, in a completely different care home. They'd buried him, had the funeral, settled his estate. It wasn't a mistaken identity either. The photos, the birth date, the social, they all matched. It was him. To this day, no one can explain how someone using his name, his history, and his face was living in our facility, completely off the books. The facility tried to keep it quiet, no news reports, just cleaned up the file and moved on. But here's the part that won't leave me. I remembered one night, maybe a month before he died, I was walking him back to his room and he said, "I know I'm not supposed to be here, but this is the only place they'll let me stay." I thought he meant the facility. Now, I'm not so sure. I took care of a man who had been dead for years. I used to work night